fear using love. It works a lot better. And the Haiti crisis kind of like brought everything to a head for me, because when I last year at my first conference, Ann Curry, who's a journalist for NBC News, I met her, got to know her, and right after Haiti happened, she happened to be in Haiti on that Sunday after the Tuesday of the earthquake, and she had noticed that the organization Doctors Without Borders couldn't land a plane that has doctors and supplies, and the U.S. Air Force had taken over the airport in Port-au-Prince. So she put out a tweet to the U.S. Air Force, that U.S. Air Force, please let Doctors Without Borders land their plane. Now, me being the ham radio operator, usually in times of crisis, I'd be on the radio trying to figure out what was happening in Haiti, trying to figure out, how I could possibly do something of value. But there I was on this Sunday on my kitchen table with my laptop, kind of feeling very left out, wanting to really contribute. So all I did is I said, okay, let me retweet what Ann Curry just said. So I put out a tweet to @US Air Force, please let Doctors Without Borders land their plane. What happened next was absolutely crazy, because a minute later, I got a tweet from @US Air Force saying, we're on it. Now, I don't know about you. When was the last time you did a shout out to a government agency in real time and they got back to you? This is while the crisis is going on. Someone said, we're on it, which is nice maybe, right? So then, an hour later, I got a tweet from the U.S. Air Force saying the plane had landed. It's like, all right, these guys are really thorough. And then I noticed they're following me on Twitter. So it's like, the U.S. Air Force at the time followed 27 people, and I was one of them. What do you do? So I sent the U.S. Air Force a direct message. And I actually invited them to this conference that I was doing. What I didn't realize is I was direct messaging with the Pentagon. And it's like, ooh. And in fact, there were 6 people from the Air Force Twitter team, and then what they were doing the whole time was listening, trying to help, trying to connect, and that was the crisis that brought everyone together. A friend of mine actually was deployed from Israel, from Israeli Defense Forces. He was in Haiti, and it was in Tel Aviv, I guess 2 weeks after the AND stuff happened, and he told me a story which I couldn't believe, but it was true. His commander was in Tel Aviv, and in Tel Aviv, IDF was doing a mashup between Google Maps and the tweets to validate the origin of the tweets. And there was a tweet that came through that they heard voices or noise from an area of rubble, where they didn't. And anyway, he and his team got dispatched in a search and rescue mission, and they saved somebody's life because of Twitter. And if you think about how crazy it is that the U.S. Air Force is there, that the Israeli Defense Forces were there, medics were there, Doctors Without Borders, all these people, it was the first time I could ever remember where people were on the same frequency. People were affecting change and working together. And I realized the world had been different. Because I could tell you, right after 9/11 in New York City, millions and millions and millions of dollars were spent to what was called homogenize the communication between all the different departments, between the U.S., between the police department, the fire department, the FBI, the folks from the ambulances, the public safety folks. It took millions and millions of dollars and lots of time to put all these different workers on the same frequency because they were not talking. They wanted to talk, they wanted to work, but they couldn't. But with the advent of Haiti, all of a sudden, for the first time ever, people were on the same frequency. And I realized the world had changed. The world is all now listening to this real-time internet, and crazy, amazing things are happening. And 2 years ago, a friend of mine who I met afterwards, this woman in Florida decided that she wanted to raise $10,000 over the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday to build a classroom in Tanzania. It's no one I ever heard of. The U.S. economy in November 2008 really sucked. But she decided to say that she wanted to raise money. So guess what? She raised $11,000 with $5 to $10 donations from 336 people. Then last year she went to Tanzania and built a classroom. Friends of mine from the East Village in New York City heard of this, and last year flew to Tanzania, and on the day that the classroom got electricity, they also got the internet. And there's now a group of kids known as the Twitter Kids of Tanzania. It's a group of 6th graders in rural Tanzania who are on Twitter, which are sort of living the life of the next generation pen pal. And if you think about how does someone in Florida raise $10,000 to build a classroom, and why do some other people get inspired to go to Tanzania to affect change, the reality is we're living in a time right now that's almost like science fiction. You see, any one of you here right now, in fact I know of a few of you who are doing this, if you have a desire, if you have a dream, if you have a feeling or a cause, you can stand up and affect change. And that sort of like, if you remember Dune or maybe even The Matrix with Neo, there's always a prophecy that someone will be born one day who will be powerful to be careful of. But it's only until this person is born and becomes self-aware of his abilities you have to worry about it, because someone though has these abilities, they have to believe in themselves. And once they believe they can do something, they can do anything. And this is where the magic is, because right now we're living in a time where if you have a cause, if there's something that bothers you, something you want to save, something you want to do, you can do it. It doesn't matter whether you have 1 million followers or 1 follower. Everyone matters. And if you can share your passion and find yourself and have the confidence to do this, you literally can stand up and change the world. And I've been meeting amazing people from many different walks of lives. The one thing the conferences have taught me is that everybody matters. That, sometimes the best gift you can ever give somebody is to believe in someone. Maybe tell them that too. Because there are people out there that want to do stuff, but they don't believe they can. And these are people who actually have others believing in them before they even believe in themselves. But what you have the ability to do, first of all, is never be lonely. You have the ability to connect with people on the human level, and you can affect change. And what I believe is happening is a social revolution like we've never existed before. In all sorts of revolutions, there are leaders and there are followers and there are rebels. Here, there's no real leader. There's no one. You don't have to be really famous to do this, because this is not a revolution about we the people. It's about me the people. It's about you. It's about you standing up and affecting change because you can. And when you realize you can affect change, you can do anything you want to do. You can change someone's life. You can change your life. You can actually define your own future. And this is not about trivial stuff. I mean, who would think that businesses would be listening to us? Who would think that if you had a desire to do something, you could just do it? And if you need proof of it, there are hundreds and hundreds of people who are changing the world every day right now. You've never heard of some of them, but they're doing amazing work. And the only thing that's stopping you from doing this right now is you. And so, I'm actually working on a book. I call it the connected me, because it's the individual me's are affecting change. When these me's become self-aware of other people affecting change and they connect with each other, it's pretty cool. And I think that we're living in a time right now, you're going to see social change happening at a rate that we've never experienced. And that the rules of engagement are changing because we have this open hailing frequency, because the world is flat, because access to information is becoming democratized. And that whether you're sitting in Montreal or Sydney, Australia, or London, or New York City, we all have access to information at the same time. Coming from Wall Street, arbitrage has always been a big topic, because an earthquake seems to be always trigger news. If you happen to be an analyst and knew what stocks moved every time there was an earthquake in a certain region, usually on Twitter there's anywhere from a 1 minute to 40-minute gap between the time news gets earthquakes get reported on Twitter and shows up on news.google.com. That's called arbitrage. If you have 4 seconds ahead of the curve, you can make money on Wall Street. If you have 40 minutes, you can make a lot of money. And this isn't just about affecting change. This is all about life. You see, how many people here think people tweet and it's silly sometimes what people are tweeting about, that they're wasting time? 1, 2, 3? Sometimes. But you know what? How many people here want to be remembered when they die? About doing something? Not everyone? Come on. Come on. I would argue that everybody here wants to be remembered for something. Whether you recognize it or not, you do. I can tell you this, that my father passed away 12 years ago, and after he died, I was at my grandparents' house, and I saw a photo of my father taken when he was 8 or 9 years old, and he was sitting in a chair. And I was thinking to myself, gee, what was my father thinking having this photo taken, and what was the photographer thinking of my dad? And wouldn't it be cool if I could somehow jump inside their timelines and see this? And then I realized one of the benefits we're living through right now